What's good, everyone? RJ here with my 2008 Yamaha XT250. I'm here in the San Bernardino Mountains trying to squeeze in a few more dry runs before the winter rains start to roll once again. Right now the sun is just starting to rise and it's 60 degrees out. Perfect time to film this and share a bit of my experience with this bike. Normally, I don't do videos like this, but I know a lot of people out there are considering dual sport, and I figure, hey, why not share my own experience? I know there's a ton of videos out there already, but maybe something I say might help someone out. I'm not a seasoned rider or anything like that. I actually started riding back in 2018, took the MSF course and got my motorcycle endorsement and hopped on my first bike, which was a Ninja 2018 400. It was an awesome entry level bike. If I remember correctly, it was Kawasaki's first year moving from a 300cc to a 400cc platform. I had it for a couple of years, loved it, and eventually sold it before COVID hit. Right after that, things in my life happened and I stepped away from riding for about 5 years. But you know how it goes. The love of riding never really goes away. I'm sure it happens to many of you out there too. So now we're here in 2025. I had the urge to get back on two wheels once again, but this time I wanted to experience the dirt trails. Nothing too crazy, just file roads, soft terrain, you know, just exploring. So earlier this year I started looking for an off-road bike and I eventually landed on the Yamaha XT250. So why did I choose the XT250? Number one, I would say, was the seat height. Out of all the dual sports, this one has one of the lowest seat heights at 31.9 inches. And I'm a short rider with a 30-inch inseam, so I can comfortably get both of my toes on the ground. That alone makes a huge difference in confidence. Number two, the ease of use. It's a 250cc 4-stroke, around 19 horsepower, and weighs about under, I believe, 300 pounds. Pretty light compared to most dual sports out there. So if I ever tip it over, I know I can pick it up without struggling or breaking my back. And number three, affordability. The used ones around here in California range from the high 2000s to 4,000, which is great if you're not trying to drop a ton of cash. I found mine from a private seller on Facebook Marketplace out in San Diego area a couple of months ago and had to jump right on it rather quickly. Since I didn't have a trailer carrier, I quickly ordered the Black Widow motorcycle mount hitch from Amazon, and it looks like this. It's aluminum and super light, and I made sure that the tongue weight on my Jeep could handle it. The seller told me that the carburetor needed work. He said that the bike would bog down at 40 miles per hour like it was starving for fuel. Because of that, he sold it to me cheaper and I brought it home, and now the journey began. This is the 2008 model with around 5,500 miles on the clock. It's carbureted, like I said, and I believe Yamaha ran the carbureted version from 08 to 2012 and then switched over the fuel injection around 2013. Honestly, the bike hasn't changed that much in styling or design since 08, which is kind of cool. The maintenance and repairs I did right away was the first thing I bought was a service manual, and it helped me out greatly. Even though I have technical experience working on cars, This was my first time wrenching on a motorcycle, but I still felt comfortable doing DIY repairs. So if you pick up a used XT250 or any used bike, my advice would be to start with changing out with fresh fluids, filters, and a new spark plug right away. That way you can begin to have a clean maintenance history. I used the Yamaha 10W40 and the OEM Yamaha oil filter, changed the brake fluid to .4, and installed a new spark plug. Luckily, it's air cooled. There's no coolant to deal with. The one thing I forgot to do was check the battery. So on my first outing with my sons, shout out to my son Ethan, Manny on the mic, who's serving in Japan for the Air Force, and my other son Evan, who's also serving in the Air Force next month. Riding around the dirt, dried up lake bed out in Hesperia, the battery completely died on us while we were taking turns, which was not fun. So replacing it with the Yuasa AMG battery from Amazon, it's heavier than the lithium battery, but honestly it stores well, and I'm not riding every day, so the AMG type of battery works fine for me. So now about the bogging issue. I pulled the carburetor out, which was a mission in itself because it's so cramped up in there. After looking through the service manual and watching a few YouTube videos, I found that the float was out of spec, sinking too low in the float bowl, so I adjusted it with a millimeter gauge and cleaned out the jets while I was in there. Now the bike runs like a champ. I'm guessing the previous owner didn't want to pay to have the carburetor service, or just didn't know how to repair it, which eventually made this bike a bargain. Now onto the mods I added, starting with the tires. I purchased the Pirelli MT21 Rallycross for the fronts, and then the Dunlop D606s in the rear. This tire setup is well known in the dual sport community with a 10% road and 90% off-road ratio. Perfect for what I'm riding, mostly file roads, soft trails, and rarely the streets. The knobbies are pretty big and slightly taller. Here's a good look at it, which actually adds a bit more to the ground clearance. The front tires are almost rubbing to the lower fender, so I ended up purchasing the Bradley Performance products, which added 1 inch of clearance so nothing gets jammed up in there. And this is with the Bradley Performance bracket installed. Next thing I added was the Flatland Racing aluminum skid plate right down here. It wasn't none of the cheap eBay stuff. This one is well built, vented, it's TIG welded and lightweight. For my phone, I installed the quad lock mount for my iPhone 16, which is right here. I love it how the low profile is. The vibration dampener works great. You just twist to lock or remove, super simple. I also added the rear luggage rack right here, which can mount my Kriega dry pack and my RotopaX 1 gallon tank, which was super easy to install. But realistically, I don't think I need the extra fuel right now, because this XT250 gets 75 miles per gallon and holds 2.4 gallons. I'm not riding far enough in needing it anyway, so I'll probably remove the RotopaX extra fuel pack, and just but the rack's gonna stay on. I also installed the Runleader. It's a digital tach meter, so I can monitor my idle speed and know whether I'm running rich, especially since I'll be up in elevation changes all the time, which can affect the carbureted bikes. So how it works is that you wrap the yellow coil around the spark plug to get your RPM reading. The only downside that it runs on its own battery, so I have to remember to turn it off manually. I also added the GoPro handlebar mount kit, but I actually ended up attaching it to my turn signal, and honestly it works quite well. And then lastly, to extend the time between future carburetor cleanings, I've gotten this from another YouTuber, installed the APE aluminum inline fuel filter and ran a 3/8 inch fuel line so it fits properly. So yeah, that's my 2008 Yamaha XT250. My experience, the walk around, and all the mods and repairs I've done in the last 3 months of owning it. For anyone thinking about getting into dual sports or getting back into riding like I did, the XT250 is a solid, lightweight, easy to work on, affordable, and just plain fun. Thanks for spending a bit of your day with me. Ride safe, and I'll catch you on the next one.